from LRG. And wouldn't you know it, we have yet another podcast for you. And today, I promise, a riveting podcast all about, you guessed it, insurance. So I'm really excited to have Sonny Sanchez and Brian Arellanes, co-founders of the Ensura Insurance Group. And there's been a lot of things going on with insurance in the last few years. From my experience, I know a lot of carriers are facing significant increases in premiums, at times without even any accidents or claims. So insurance is like kind of a crazy time. So we brought Sonny and Brian here to kind of give us some insight, maybe calm the nerves a little bit, and share some really cool stuff. So, Sonny, I'll kick it to you. If you tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Brian. No, amazing. We're excited to be here. We love obviously partnering with LRG, and I have a soft spot in my heart for logistics. Been working with friends and close colleagues in the industry for going on 4 years now. And I'll give you a little bit of background about how I got introduced to the logistics space, DSPs, ISPs. But co-founder of Ensura Group, me and Brian have been running this for the last couple of years. It's been amazing. We have a few different things that we add value to businesses with, and I'm excited to get into those. Brian, my fellow co-founder here, he has an extensive background, tons of experience in cybersecurity. He's ran a few successful companies. I'll hand it off to you, Brian, just to give a little intro, but excited to be here.
Yeah, appreciate that, Sonny. Yeah, so Brian Arellanes, I thought I was retired, and then Sonny pulled me back in. Felt like the old, they pulled me back in.
The Godfather 3. I mean, it's the Godfather 3, totally.
So, it was one of those moments where, just to give a little personal background on myself, in 2018, I was diagnosed, and not to put this, in a depressing light, but actually it was a blessing. But I got diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer in 2018, and had the Cadillac insurance, was CEO of a technology cybersecurity compliance company supporting Fortune 50 companies, and thought life was pretty much perfect, and got that diagnosis and was like, oh my God, okay, so what's now? And all that work stuff just kind of disappeared as far as my priority. So really got back to the basics of family, God, and making sure that I had everything taken care of the right way with my cancer treatment. And what it turned out was there was a ton of out-of-pocket expenses, even with the best insurance, that we were paying a hefty premium on. And so I learned the hard way, unfortunately, that insurance, even when you think you've got enough coverage, really doesn't satisfy it when you run into complications in life. So even back then, I learned the importance of having supplemental insurance. And unfortunately, once you get diagnosed with something, it's near impossible to get any supplemental insurance, because now you have that pre-existing condition that, for major medical, they can't prevent that when you have group insurance. But for supplemental insurance, they absolutely can, because that's what they're protecting for. So when Sonny came to me with this, idea and how to really help businesses and their employees get coverage, especially the underinsured market, because I was, fully insured, had great coverage, still hit me, and I was in a high income bracket, and it still impacted me massively. So my focus turned into, how do we help those that are underinsured, which most of Americans are now, because we are sitting in a situation where all of the premiums keep rising, 30-40% every year. And not only are the premiums rising, what they're doing to try and, trick the public in essence, is they're also making all these plans high deductible, high out-of-pocket maximum. So your impact as a regular employee is massive when you're underinsured like that. Most employees or people in general, even if they're just not employed and have insurance, we end up seeing that as small as an $800 bill that was unexpected can end up leading to financial insolvency. So that's kind of the doom and gloom. The great news is Sonny and I have put together some amazing products at Ensura that first of all help employers and employees from the supplemental side, but we also are rolling out right now major medical that are at fixed prices that the last 2 years that these plans have been in place, we have not had any premium hikes. So there is a silver lining here. And I think because Sonny and I have been so focused on getting these best products out, it really has made an impact. And there's a teaser at the end too that we can kind of float out there. But we're about to launch, and this will be in a really good partnership with LRG as well. We're about to launch a 1099 gig worker group medical plan, guaranteed issue. Fixed rates. We're about to launch that here within the next couple of weeks. So for all those 1099 and gig workers out there, we're about to have some amazing options for you where it's, again, guaranteed issue and group plans. So I'll stop there. That was a lot.
so much. Brian, I have to just be a human. And, I also run a leadership company and I teach leadership. I help leaders find clarity. And a lot of times we talk about work, results and money and all that stuff. But Brian, you shared a really powerful message. Not only were you given, let's just say, a single-digit % chance to get through your cancer, you did. And now you're taking that experience and you're serving others. I'm really inspired by that. And I'm really glad you shared that. And I'm really glad you're here to do so. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
You bet. You bet. Well, let's do this. We're going to make a hard right turn from that. Everything you just said excites me. And when I was getting ready for this insurance podcast, I was thinking of like suits with elbow patches and like quiet rooms of people sitting there listening to seminars. But we're not going to do that here. So let's start with this. I know LRG and you guys, we've been really working on a cafeteria 125 plan. And some of the DSPs and ISPs have heard of it and some of them haven't. Can you just share a quick stroll in the park, what that's all about and why, as a business owner, I may want that for my team?
Yeah. So the main, and Brian nailed it. There's an underlying message there and goal, and it's to help the underinsured. And when we partnered up with LRG and when we started working with logistic companies years ago, we started looking at the percentages of people who even had benefits. So we knew that there was something to solve there. And for young people, a lot of young people don't think they need benefits, so either they don't want to pay for it or, they just want to keep the money on their paychecks. And, if something happens, they're just going to roll the dice. I've seen it firsthand. I come from a blue collar background. What happens when you don't have insurance? To Brian's point too, when you do have insurance, there's still plenty of costs that come into play. So we knew that there was a problem to solve there. And then for employers, they have a big decision to make too in such a high turnover business. How do I offer very competitive benefits, keeping my team, retaining them, but also not being sunk by the cost of hiking of rates every year? So when it comes to a one kind of stop shop solution, we developed and we partnered with a very good TPA named Seahas. And we saw a solution. We saw that there was products already out there, but how can we make them better? How can we make it easier for businesses to understand? And then how do we implement? Because you can have a great product, but if you can't deliver or you can't implement, you can't reach the audience that you're trying to reach, then it's not going to work. So we spent a lot of time developing a good process to make it easy and streamlined, that there's a clear benefit for the employer and that there's a clear benefit for the employee. And that's what we've done with Ensura Guard. And now we serve hundreds of businesses and thousands of DAs and employees across the country. And we've been able to get that real-time feedback. And the advantage of working with us too is that we take that feedback. We're very hands-on and we've made adjustments based off that feedback because we don't think we're perfect. We hear it straight from our consumer and our clients on how we can make it better. And I think we've done a good job in partnering with LRG and valuable vendors in the space already. We've been able to get that feedback too and really make a really good product.
It's powerful because in my experience, I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young, very hardworking folks who I think, Brian, to your point, insurance isn't cheap. And I'd rather just close my eyes and look the other way until I need to So I have that liquidity on a weekly basis. Um, and one thing I will tell you, I've sat with your team on several calls with prospective clients of yours, and in fact, they all became clients of yours. So your close rate is dynamic. Thing that resonates with me is sure there's some financial incentive for the business owner, which there should be. But what is really cool is that, I think you said underserved person in regards to healthcare and all that stuff has a really good pathway for immediate 24/7 telehealth that can solve a bunch of things in the moment, prescriptions and all that stuff, and referrals, and it's not sinking them financially. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know the way that we looked at our plan is we're an accident plan. That's first and foremost, we have 120 plus accident incidents that we cover. So anything from a cut, which is called a laceration in our policy, to a sprained knee or a broken bone or fracture or dislocation, all that stuff. There's so many things that people don't realize, and we would love people to actually file more claims, because that's what we're here for. We're here to provide them protection and financial stability. So we're not one of those insurance companies that tries to make it so that people don't get claims or they get denied by claims. We're the opposite. So that's another big component of what we're trying to go out with right now on a campaign, and helping the employees understand, like, there's all of these things that you're probably having happen at least once during the year. Are you going to the ER? Are you going to a doctor appointment? Are you going to, get different services that might be covered, a physical therapy session because you hurt something? All of those types of things are covered in our accident plan. If you need an ambulance, that's covered in the accident plan. If you need to stay in the hospital, it's covered in the accident plan. Now, what we cover is every incident. There's a fixed dollar amount that we pay based on that incident. And we're not asking for everybody to submit their medical bills. We're asking for them to provide proof of service so that they saw a doctor, they got whatever treatment it was, and we have a proof of that. Now, we bundled in, or I shouldn't say bundled, we complementarily added in the 24/7 telehealth. And part of that is we're focused on making sure people stay healthy on the job and off the job. So it ties in perfectly with our accident plan, because if people do get hurt on the job, they've got a doctor in their pocket. So instead of having to leave work in order to go get something checked out, they can actually get on a call, they can talk to our provider, and they will get help. And once they get that help, they can have that turned into the claim. So they can actually help right there from the telehealth service and get you a claim, so that then you're able to have that financial support that's helping you if you need it. So and most people do. I mean, let's be honest. Who's going to turn away $1,000 that comes to them because they had a medical incident, or 5,000 in some cases. So it's one of those things that I think we are trying constantly to improve education, but that's one of the passion points for us. I think is that most of these other Section 125 plans, they're built off of hospital indemnity plans, and I know that's all foreign language to most of the listeners. But what it means basically is they have 8 or 9 incidents at the most that they're covering. We have 120. It's not even close. Like, our benefits are so far superior, and all of our providers are 5-star, near 4.9 star rated, 4.8. Like, we are crushing it when it comes to giving the best care and the best insurance product.
And that was key, Brian, too. Education. Educating young individuals, it's a task. But what we try to explain is that these benefits, even if you do have insurance, help you immensely on convenience. And even if your insurance covers your full medical bill, you still get paid out this cash benefit from the accident coverage, and you can do with it what you will. You could pocket it, or you could put it towards future medical bills, whatever the reason may be. But we get that question quite a bit. I already have insurance. Why would I use this? Well, for convenience purposes, you're never going to get charged a copay. You call in through our provider for the telemedicine, for the virtual concierge. You're never going to get a bill. You're never going to get a copay. I know, me having kids, I have 2 toddlers. I don't want to spend an hour and a half in the urgent care with my son. He's a maniac. And if he's sick, it's even worse. I rather get on at no copay. And every time someone uses this service, they answer in about 60 seconds or less is the average wait time. You get on with a primary care physician, you get on with a nurse practitioner. They'll make sure that your daughter, your son, your spouse, whoever it is, or yourself isn't in a life-threatening situation, and then they can start to treat you. They can prescribe. It's a convenient tool that is available to you in the comfort of your home. And the medical industry, or anything medical related, sometimes people aren't comfortable going to their employer about an issue. At least they have some. At least they have some access to do this in the comfort of their home, in private. So the reach that we're trying to get to is just it's incredible.
I love that.
I think just one other thing, Brian, that really excites me about what we're doing is when you look at the average person that's using these type of services, a lot of people might have this in their pocket and they forget about it. Because we're going through the employer can remind them. They get hurt on the job, and their lead can tell them, have you called into Ensura's hotline? Have you spoken with a doctor from them? Have you gotten the care that you need? What that does is it helps also reduce workers' comp claims for our client, because we can handle it all right there within the comfort of the break room, or the comfort of the van, the delivery van, if they need to. And they don't have to take time out of work to go get a scan or do this or that. First, they actually can talk to someone first and make sure that that's even necessary based on the symptoms and the video call that they do. So, and then they can get directed to the lowest cost providers. They can get directed to facilities that are closest to them that they may not even know about. I mean, it is truly amazing what that process looks like.
It is. And I'm going to pull a few things out for those who are listening. You might be on the road and you're like, wow, head spinning a little bit. Think about having a stand-up with your team every day saying, remember, guys and gals, here's the 1-800 number for immediate care. Immediate care. That's worth its weight in gold. And you know what, from an employer's perspective, you show that you care. I care about you, versus, hey, you better not get hurt or I have to deal with a claim, right? There's a huge paradigm shift there. Sonny, I love it. Last time I was at the ER, there was a guy with a blanket tied around his neck as a cape in his underwear, running around the ER. So who wants to sit in it?
3 years old?
It could have been one of my sons. I don't know. It was an adult. It was weird. But you're not sitting in a waiting room.
Oh wow!
It was a spectacle. I hope he got the right care he needed.
Too, right before that, you said something very key, is that every time that their employees use this service, from the employer's perspective, it does not hit your medical claim. So as far as your other insurance that you have, well, first off, we don't replace that, unless you're using some of our major medical insurance. But if you're on InsureGuard, we're not replacing your major medical. It's all additive. It's all supplemental. So we complement your current benefits. But another cool thing is why we encourage them to use it first is that this isn't going to hit the employer's medical claim. So when they go to renew with their current broker the following year, they're not going to hopefully get too much of a hike in rates, because every time they use our service, it's not hitting their claims.
Yep. I like that. I mean, it's
great point.
I mean, just think about it, guys. Zoom out for a second. No claims, essentially. Immediate health care for your team. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. So let's do this. Let's jump into how. So, okay, like now, how, and I'll tell you from an LRG perspective, if you're out there listening here, simply put, and I have to say, I've sat in a lot of these, it's a seamless process. You have 2 individuals and leaders on your team, Matt and Austin, who white glove the experience, because, logistics operators are right. I mean, they're so busy. They got a million things going on. Do I have to go dig through a bunch of receipts? Do I have to give you all this stuff? No, it's simple. So to those listening, I'd say go to the lrgteam.com, and there's a vendors tab right at the top, and you're going to see Ensura Group right there. Click on that. You could read all about them. And then there's a little white button called book a call. We'll hop on with you, uh, discover who you are, determine what you need, and get you connected to Sonny and Brian right away, so you can start providing these services. And I mean, what would you say from that call to with your team to implementation, guys? What's the time frame and kind of what's that take?
You nailed it, Brian. So we first like to get to know them. Like, hey,
Hmm.
you as a business owner, how do you run your team? What kind of demographic do you have as far as your team goes? Are they younger? Are they, are you close with them? Do you have managers that run your team? Like, who are we going to work with? And we get to know them. That way we can tailor out a process that's going to work best for them. Everyone's going to be different. And we've heard it across the board every time we talk to, whether it's an ISP or a DSP or any business that, for that matter, we hear it almost weekly. They say to us, you don't know our team. How are you guys going to educate them? Sometimes they can't even clock in or out. So,
Yeah,
we really tailor the process. One thing about our team is we're really hands-on, and, our sales team, our implementation team, our TPA, sometimes, people can say it's overkill, but we're very hands-on and we're very nurturing to our clients, because this is a new thing. It's taboo to them. Insurance in general, they like to be hands-off on. So we like to have that white glove service. Or if it's a business owner that doesn't want us to be too involved, we kind of follow their lead on that. But at least we give them some options. But we have that discovery call, and then as soon as we get a green light from an employer, we're all hands on deck. We go to a kickoff call where we strategize over the next 30 days, because on average we onboard within 20 to 30 days. So that's the
gotcha.
time. We educate the employees either through webinars. We prefer that we meet with the managers and get them excited, because those are the ones that are going to have the closest relationship with the employees. And then we do a series of educational emails, text messages, and then we also have a landing page that they can go to 24/7 to watch videos, easy FAQ questions so they can get direct answers on common things that they may be wondering. And then within that 30 days, we integrate with ADP, Paycom, Uzio, whatever major payroll company that company is using, which we have close relationships with a lot of the big ones.
Good.
And then we do a practice payroll run, and then we go live. And on that go live, we still hold hands. We walk them through the process. We have an API actually with ADP to make things a little bit easier on it, the admin side. And then we walk through the company savings. We walk through the benefits. We walk through the employees' questions, and then it's ongoing service from there. So from an implementation perspective, 20 to 30 days, hands-on work, education, and then we go live. And then anything that the employer needs from then on, they're going to have a dedicated account manager that's there to support them 7 days a week.
Love it. I mean, that is and I'll plus one that, gang. I've seen it. I've seen the amount of care. I've seen the tailoring. It's not a cookie cutter presentation. It's not an insurance seminar. I did come to my first one with elbow patch sport jacket on, and just found it didn't work. So it's a really down to earth. All right. Well, we're at time, but before we leave, I first of all want to thank both of you for being so informative and passionate about serving others. You don't always see that. And I want to call it out. And that's why we at LRG are really proud to be partners with you, because we feel the same way. We are here to help DSPs, ISPs, and independent carriers get the right services at the right place and save some money. I mean, let's just save some money.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to ask you, and you both can answer, or one, tell me something that's really cool about insurance right now.
With insurance, and I'll touch on just one thing you said. We love partnering with LRG, and we love partnering with vendors and people who are, like us, but also have the same vision as us and same morals and values. Me and Brian are regular guys. At the end of the day, we're family men. I'm about to welcome my third baby boy here this month, so wish me luck on that. But
Good luck.
we both come from blue collar backgrounds, and we just want to serve the underserved community and make an impact, and then go home to our families and feel good about what we do, which thankfully me and Brian are put in a position where we're able to do that. Some cool things with insurance that are coming up. The cool thing about the partnerships that we have with our insurance carriers and our TPA is that we've been really able to get creative about making products that are going to fit the actual need, not just a blanket type of product that's, we try to force on people. We live it. Brian's lived and had experience in the medical industry and things that he's gone through, and he sees issues that need to be fixed. And we're able to kind of tailor out things and really have fun with it and get creative. And, Brian said there was a little bit of a teaser earlier about a product we're really excited about. And another underserved community is that gig community, the gig workers, the 1099. I don't know how many times, when I first went out on my own and didn't have an employer, and I was used to my employer offer me, benefits, and I could choose, and there was 3 options and it was easy. And I had someone to at least explain it to me, the best that they could. But when you're on your own and you don't have that employer and everything's on you, well, you just go to Dr. Google, or you go to, whatever best. And maybe you're not getting the guidance, you're overpaying, maybe the plan that you picked isn't really the one that's best for you. The normal person doesn't know in-house, out-of-network deductibles or what that all means necessarily. And we're developing a product that's going to be very easy, self-serve, also having support for you through a live person that can walk you through it. It's not going to be a painful 3-hour, online search to figure out what's best for you, or, a lengthy process to get signed up, but it's going to be coverage that's very straightforward. There's guaranteed issue options. It's a very slick platform that's going to be easily accessible for you to share with your friends too, who might be in the same boat, but you can get the coverage that you need at a very competitive rate. And that at least you could shop around a little bit and get some options. So, Brian, if you want to add a little bit to that.
Yeah. No, I think the teaser was there, for a very intentional purpose. This is going to be something that I think the gig market has needed for a long time. We've got dozens and dozens of plans with all kinds of different configurations. And what we've done is we've built an AI engine in there to help you with this decision-making process. Gives a lot of high-level information for you, so you can check the top 3 plans that fit your criteria. The other thing that we offer in there is gap coverage, and most people don't know what gap coverage is. And what gap coverage is, so all of these high deductible, high out-of-pocket maximum plans that people are getting for major medical, the problem is, once you have that incident, you don't have the money to cover that part of it because you thought you had insurance that would cover it. So people just don't go to the doctor. Well, with gap coverage, they pay all of the out-of-pocket expenses. So it's another insurance product that you layer on top of the other product, and then you don't have to worry. So if you think there's any possibility that you're going to end up, needing to go to the doctor, that gap coverage is critical. So we have one of our plans, especially that's a bronze plan that has some of those higher deductibles, but it's guaranteed issue. It's a network that's nationwide, so especially for the gig workers, the beauty is most of them are stuck going to the health exchanges from their states. Those are great to fill in a gap that people aren't serving. However, they usually restrict you into a very small geographic region for what's in network. With ours, you're getting a national network that's in network. And so you can go to a lot of doctors. So if you need to travel for work, or you're a long haul trucker and you're going cross country, what better thing than to have benefits that follow you wherever you go? And if you get that gap coverage added in, it's a no-brainer, because now you don't have any of those out-of-pocket expenses. So I know that is one thing that I'm grateful that I have now, is good gap coverage. So all those out-of-pocket expenses I was faced with in the beginning of my treatment days are now no longer. So you get a little smarter, a little wiser with the years of going through stuff. But if there is one thing that I can help others with, is have those proper voluntary tools, like gap coverage, like accident coverage, like critical illness coverage, that covers you if you get cancer or something else, and it pays all of these out-of-pocket and lump sum, dollar amounts to help you with your journey. So That's the exciting thing. And of course, we're going to get that out to LRG. You guys are going to be the first ones that we get that out to. The partnership, we couldn't be happier with LRG. I think from a leadership perspective, you guys have such a class act leadership group that are all seasoned owner operators themselves. So they get it. And, you know, Sonny and I have been owner operators of businesses prior to this. So we get where everybody's at. And I think there's a bond, kind of a brotherhood, sisterhood type of thing that goes through that, where you've felt some pain when that payroll is coming through. You understand what that means, because that payroll is your stress. It's not some, you know, person back east that has to deal with it or something, you know, or on the West Coast that's far away from you, or wherever, you know, like you're actually running that yourself, and it's coming out of your bank account. So as the owner operator, we get you, and we're here to protect you.
I love it, guys. I'll tell you, you both made my day. So thank you very, very much. Sonny and Brian, I appreciate it. From the Ensura Group. And remember, the LRGteam.com is the best place to start. Thank you, gentlemen. I wish you a wonderful day. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Have a great one.